for beer, what we're going to use is this. I've already explained it. So anything that's going to be in contact with beer, I've already cleaned it, but I haven't sanitized it. So this paddle will go in here. This airlock will go in there. And that's all that's going to contact the beer. So with this solution, tip it over everything. Put the lid on and give it a good shake, just so that the mixture touches everything. I like to sit another airlock on it and let it sit and let the fumes do a bit more sanitizing. Alright, so the sodium metabisulfate has been sitting here for about 10 minutes. I'm going to take it out now. Let me take this out. Once everything's been sanitized, you need to be careful that you don't put it back down on something that's dirty. So like I said before, I try and save as much of the mixture as I can. So to start off with, I put a bit through the tap just to make sure that that's clean and sanitized. The rest of it, I try and tip in here. After you've sanitized it, you don't need to wash the sanitizing solution out. You can either wait for it to disappear, or you can just make beer into it, which is what I do. So now this is sanitized and ready for the beer making. Alright, so now we're ready to make our beer. We need to make sure before we start that we have everything ready and organized. So we have a fermenter here, the lid and the paddle, all sanitized and ready to go. We've got the wort, which has been sitting in boiling water for at least 10 minutes. This softens it and makes it easy to pour. Boiling water to help mix it all up. Because it's pretty warm today, we've got some ice to bring it back down to the appropriate temperature. We don't need this. Scissors to open the yeast. Can opener to open the can. And another one of these we don't need. We also need a bag of dextrose. You can use lots of different brewing sugars. I prefer dextrose, so that's what we have there. Once you have all of this stuff ready, you're good to go and you can start making beer. So to start off with, we open the can of wort. I've taken the label off just so that when you open the can with the label on, sometimes some of the paper gets unstuck and can go into the fermenter, which isn't so good for the beer. Before you do this, always double check to make sure that the plug is turned off. Alright, see how it's there's still a lot left in the can? That's what we have the boiling water for. And like I said, because it's a hot day, I'm not going to fill this up. I'll put a bit of boiling water in here just to do its thing. That's what I use the paddle for. Heat it up and to try and get the rest of the water out. So the beer that I'm showing you make is just a standard beer. You can add a lot of extra things to this, like honey, malt, hops, lots of different things, but for starting off, this is the best way to do it. Yeah, I don't need that anymore, it's all good. Alright, so we mix the wort with some of the hot water, just to get it a little bit going. Once we've done that, I've got a kilogram of dextrose here. It's a good idea to try and not get any dextrose on the top of the paddle, because it sticks and it's just not the best. So if you can avoid getting the dextrose on the wall of the fermenter as well as the paddle, it's the best way to do it. Next we need to dissolve the dextrose in the wort. The warmer that the wort and the liquid here is, the easier it is to dissolve this all. It's for that reason why sometimes you need a bit of ice, just to cool everything down. Every single beer kit has a specified temperature that the beer should be. I aim to have mine around 18 to 24 degrees. So either sometimes you need hot water if it's winter, or summer ice. So what I'm trying to do here is get the thicker stuff off the bottom. One of the main things about this is, while we're doing all of this, we're only using sanitized equipment, and you make sure that things don't fall into the fermenter. Bits of hair or skin or dirt or anything like that, it's going to make for a bad beer. So you need to be really clean and make sure everything's all good. So this is looking pretty stirred right now. Once I've done that, we're right to fill it up with water now. So I'm using the coldest water that I can. And because it is a hot day, I'll put a rack of ice in. So this is all clean, sanitized, or purified water. So there shouldn't be a problem with infection. So all fermenters should have a thermometer reading on it. This won't work obviously until the water reaches it, but I know right now that it's pretty warm, so that's why I've used the ice. Most wort kits say that you should use 23 litres of water and make 23 litres of beer. I did do that for a while, but because I'm using 19 litre kegs, I was throwing too much away. I don't bottle beer anymore, so if you're really keen, you can bottle the extra 4 litres, but I just make 21 litres instead, so 2 less than it says. It makes for a stronger taste in beer, it's a bit more alcoholic, and I don't throw away as much. That's how I like it. So when you put the water in, make sure it doesn't go straight into the wort, otherwise it'll froth up heaps, kind of like it is now. So we see now the temperature's about 28 degrees. So I could probably put some more ice cubes in, that won't hurt. And it's really important to stop the water before it gets, before you put too much in. Too much water makes for a shit beer. Alright, so that's 21 litres. Turned it off. So after I've added water, I like to mix it all around to make sure that the water and the actual wort is the same. After we've done that, we need to take the specific gravity of it. So by recording the specific gravity of the beer now, it can help us to determine the alcohol strength of the beer. And it also helps us know when the beer is ready. So pour about this much in the tube. Give it another good stir. Once you open the can of wort, it kind of starts going off a little bit in oxygen, so you need to try and do all of this as quickly as you can. Even more so once you put yeast in. So as soon as you can, you want to have this process finished with the lid on it and sealed. So seal it up most of the way. I don't put the airlock on it straight away because as you lift the airlock, it sucks a lot of the water into the beer, which you don't want. So I lift it up into place, make sure that the chock is sitting in a good position. Fill this up to where it should be with water. Put it in. Sometimes it's difficult to know if you've sealed it properly, so what I like to do is once I've put the airlock in, give it an extra rotation. And you should see now there's a pressure difference between the two, or height difference in the two water levels, which means that there's a pressure difference here. So over the whole life of the beer, there should always be this kind of pressure difference. There should be more water on this side than this one. So once you've finished with this, it's good to turn it that extra way so it does this. And if you come back later on in the day and the water levels have evened out, it means you haven't sealed off the system properly and you need to try and find where the leak is. So these need to be kept out of the sunlight and at an even temperature. So this is at 26 degrees, which is borderline for what I want. I'm happy with that. If it was a really hot day, I'd put a t-shirt on it, wet the t-shirt, and have a fan spinning to cool it down. If you have a basement or something cold, brew your beer in there. That's the best way to do it. So, yes, in roughly 7 days, longer if it's cold, this beer should be ready to go. and you tell that it's ready to go by the specific gravity.